Just ahead on American Black Journal, poverty and prison. We'll look at the connection between children who grow up poor and end up incarcerated. Also, we'll tell you about a program that helps former inmates, minority males, and the chronically unemployed find work. Plus, a special look at the American dream. Stay right there. American Black Journal starts now.
American Black Journal is funded by the W.K. Kellogg Foundation, a partner with communities where children come first.
At DTE Energy, we believe that we have a greater responsibility. We believe that being part of a community means being involved in the fabric of that community, investing time, effort, and resources in the communities we serve. DTE Energy Foundation is a proud sponsor of American Black Journal.
Welcome to American Black Journal. I'm Stephen Henderson. All this year, the media partners in the Detroit Journalism Cooperative are taking an in-depth look at whether the social and economic conditions that fueled civil unrest 50 years ago have improved today. On today's program, we're focusing on poverty and its connection to a never-ending cycle of imprisonment. Consider this data. 55% of youth in the juvenile justice system have been involved with the child welfare system. And over the last 30 years, Michigan's prison population has grown at 29 times the rate of the total population. The Michigan Council on Crime and Delinquency is pushing for policies that will help slow the pipeline to prison for juveniles and adults. Joining me now is the group's executive director, Mary King. Thanks for being here.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's a very strong correlation. 55% of the people in the juvenile justice system were involved in the child welfare system. I think some people could look at that stat and say, you know, poor people, they must just be more prone to committing crimes, but it is a far more nuanced connection than that.
Absolutely. And in fact, we've also heard about the school to prison pipeline. And now we're starting to talk about the preschool to prison pipeline, looking at the fact that preschoolers are actually 3.5 times more likely to be kicked out of school than high schoolers. Yeah. And of those children that are getting kicked out of preschool, 40% of them are African American. So you see that this pipeline starts really young.
Yeah, and talk about what it is that creates these. What are the conditions that are creating this pipeline? I mean, what is it that about poverty that is putting kids who grow up in a position to go to prison more often?
Well, I think it really comes down to kind of lack of resources. I think Michelle Alexander's book, The New Jim Crow, really talks a lot about the fact that, for example, for substance abuse, white people are using drugs at the same rate as African Americans, but yet if you look at the number of people who are being incarcerated for substance abuse crimes, it's largely African Americans. Why is that? Because people of means also have the ability to be able to hide their drug addiction. Sure. If they do get picked up, they often have the money to be able to avoid incarceration. So a lot of it is really a link of having to do with lack of resources.
Right. It doesn't have to do with poverty itself. Right. It has to do with enforcement and prosecution.
It's not that poor people are more dangerous or criminal than people who have means. It's that people who have means have the resources to be able to be diverted out of the system in the first place.
Right. And race, of course, plays a real role in deciding who gets prosecuted and to what extent.
Absolutely. And you see that in both the adult justice system. In Michigan, about 14% of the residents are African American, about 56% of the people who are in our state's prisons are people of color. And in the juvenile side, about 30% of the youth of color, so that's African American, Asian American, Native American, Latino, 30% of the juveniles in our state are youth of color, but 70% of the kids who get involved in our juvenile justice system are youth of color.
Yeah. So your organization is involved in the effort to eliminate the prosecution of juveniles for some of these crimes, correct?
Absolutely. Our organization is interested in diverting kids out of the justice system, and we're also interested in diverting adults. We have two initiatives that we're really involved in right now for youth. One is, and I know that you've heard about this, the Raise the Age campaign,
Raise the Age, sure.
A package of 20 bills that, that passed in the Michigan House with overwhelming support, 92 to 16.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an incredible vote.
Right.
And now is in front of the Senate, and we've heard that the governor is going to be willing to sign that if he sees it on his desk.
Yeah.
So
it's a step in the right direction.
It's a step. Michigan was one of only 9 states to still be prosecuting 17-year-olds as adults. Yeah. Last week, Louisiana and South Carolina raised their age, right? So I think we kind of have to keep up with Louisiana.
Sort of bad company there.
And South Carolina. So the other piece that we're doing, which I think is also really exciting, is looking at restorative justice practices as a means of diverting kids out of the justice system.
Yeah, and you're trying to help the counties who aren't doing this yet learn from the counties who are, right?
Yes, we've surveyed the counties in Michigan. We're putting together a map, an interactive map, so people can see what's actually happening, which has never been done before. While we were doing that, we identified 3 counties that had really terrific programs. We found 3 other counties that wanted to learn and do something different, and we matched them up, and so they're learning from each other now.
Yeah, you're also gathering formerly incarcerated adults to sort of talk about ways to avoid incarceration.
Absolutely. People who have been part of the system have never had a voice. And Michigan Council on Crime and Delinquency is hosting a new organization. It's called Nation Outside, the Voice of Formerly Incarcerated People. The steering committee is made up of 70% formerly incarcerated people, and their goal, they have 2 goals this year. Number 1 is to educate people who have a felony background that they actually can vote in Michigan.
Right.
Because many people do not know that they have the right to vote.
Because in a lot of states you can't.
That's right.
Right.
And the second thing is they want to educate formerly incarcerated people which elected officials and which candidates have positions that are in alignment with some of their values.
Yeah.
So forming a collective voice is really important because there's all kinds of policies that are being created right now that have a direct impact on this population, and they never get to have a say in it.
And they don't really have
No voice.
a say of it. You talk about politicians and policy. We also have a sort of criminal justice community, I would say, here in Michigan that seems really resistant to this stuff. Prosecutors, our Attorney General, they're really pushing back hard against a move away from this.
I think that really the only way to change this is at the ballot box.
Yeah.
I think that it's about those of us who believe that mass incarceration is wrong, coming together and making our voices known. I think that's the only way to change the system.
Yeah.
And we're doing that through hosting Nation Outside. But we're also part of a new, very exciting collaborative called the Michigan Collaborative to End Mass Incarceration. It's the first time a group of professionals and passionate individuals have come together and said, you know, my expertise might be in diversion, yours might be in prisoner reentry. What would happen if we all got together?
We should be working together and talking to each other.
And we have a similar agenda.
Yeah. One of the things I love about this issue is that it does have the potential to bring Democrats and Republicans together. Democrats because of the moral imperative here, Republicans often because of money. We've got to get to a place where we're actually seeing that work, though, in terms of changing the policy. So
absolutely.
Good on you guys for doing the work. Thank
you
you very much for being here.
Yes.
All right, coming up next on American Black Journal, a program that's giving hope to the unemployed in the Detroit area. But first, here's a look at some important moments in Detroit's Black history.
I'm Ken Coleman with a look back at African American life in Detroit. This week in 1965, Wilson Pickett's In the Midnight Hour raced up the R&B chart.
I'm gonna wait till the midnight hour. That's when my love comes tumbling down. I'm gonna wait till the midnight hour when there's no one else around.
In 1994, Grant Hill of Duke University was drafted by the Detroit Pistons. And in 1955, actor David Allen Greer was born. These are significant events this week in Detroit's Black history, taken from the book On This Day, African American Life in Detroit.
There's a program in the Detroit area that's helping to change the lives of individuals who found it difficult to get a job. It's called Earn and Learn, and it's led by the nonprofit organization Southwest Solutions. The program targets 3 groups of people: minority males, age 18 to 24, former inmates, and the chronically unemployed. Here to tell us about Earn and Learn is instructional specialist Kartav Patel. He is joined by a graduate of the program, Charles Lee. Welcome, both of you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us. It's good to be here.
Talk about how this program sort of comes together.
Well, like you mentioned earlier, it targets low minority males, ages 18 to 24, or the formerly incarcerated, and also the chronically unemployed.
Yeah.
So what the Earn and Learn program does, it goes out into the community. It has its specific outreach methods, and it's just taking those minority males, those have been unemployed for such a long time, and teaching them work readiness skills. Basic computer, actually advanced computer, a little bit more advanced computer skills, math, reading, and also work readiness skills such as those soft skills like those employability skills that employers are looking for. Yeah.
Right. And are you connecting them with the potential employers?
Yes. So what it is like an 8-week program. So the first 4 weeks we work on work readiness along with the reading and math, and then the next 4 weeks we are partnered up with a vocational training, depending on which vocational training, such as food production, manufacturing, healthcare related. And in those last 4 weeks, we go through those ITA trainings with our partners, and they get the actual hands-on training to get those certifications. Yeah. And then we also do work with employers.
Yeah. And talk about the success of the program. How well is it working?
Well, the success has been pretty well the past few years. Yeah. We've gotten a lot of people trained that came through our program, and we got them placed in actual really good paying jobs.
Yeah. Charles, talk about your experience with the program. What led you there, and what has it done for you?
It's a wonderful program, very, very enlightening, an intense program. I'd like to say several things led me there. Alcoholism, homelessness, just not on the other end of things, so to speak. Learned about the program.
But what was it that made you say, all right, I want to do something different. I want to go in a different direction.
Unemployment, not being able to pay the bills.
Yeah. Right? Good reason, right?
Want your own place, want your own things, And I started searching. Luckily, through someone else, I heard about it, was through the Veterans Administration, because I was trying to get employment down there. And they told me about the program. As I said, I think Mr. Kartav said it was 8 weeks. I think it's really 13 weeks. You do 4 weeks. It's a very intense program.
It is
you do your first 4 weeks of your, as he said, your work readiness. Very intense.
And the training that you had there, was this training that you had not found before?
The best thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah.
I'm just going to tell you, it's very, very appreciated. I'm going to say that right there. I had no idea I'd be at a farm,
right?
Checking soil samples.
Yeah.
This
was part of the training.
This is part of the training. Yeah. I had no difference. I had no idea that I would be out at a warehouse, actually getting the warehouse training. I had no idea that my math skills, which were basically pre-algebra, would actually go up to geometry once I got through with the program. I just was very, very impressed with the program altogether.
Yeah. And so what did that lead you to? What are you doing now?
Left there. Within my first week, I had 3 job offers. We had an open house. The open house, met a lot of people, sounded good. Yeah. The week later, I got an offer from the biggest fuel distributor in the.
Oh, is that right?
Correct.
Wow.
While I was working there, I got a call from one of the 3 casinos. And naturally, I left the fuel distributor and went to the casino.
Went to the casino. Does that pay better?
Oh, excellent pay. Went into the program. I just got out of the food processing program. Okay. And I'm in the kitchens.
Yeah, very good. What I hear in his story is both how difficult this is, but also how easy it is, right? It's not, you're not reinventing the wheel here.
Right. So Charles is a really, really hard worker as well. So when he means by intense, it's a really good program that really emphasizes on commitment and responsibility in terms of a workplace, and just making sure that we provide all of our clients with that workplace mentality.
Yeah.
Those soft skills, those employability skills that employers today are looking for.
Yeah.
So it is an intense program, but if you're committed like Charles, I mean, it's going to benefit you. It's the right stepping stone.
Yeah.
If you really want to, take your career to the next level, this is where it's at.
As I said, one category you're working with is previously incarcerated people. Charles, of course, is not one of those. But talk about the different challenge you have when that's one of the dynamics.
Well, with even not just the previously incarcerated, but even just overall in terms of recruiting for this program, we find that there's a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear that there's programs out there like this that I wasn't successful in. So trying to recruit that way and trying to get people to come to the orientation, learn about the program, see if it's the right fit for you.
Right.
At this point in life, and we'll answer all your questions. We'll talk about all the barriers, we'll talk about all the obstacles, and we'll set you forward that way. So it's a lot of anxiety and fear, but this program, it's different. It's out there. And Charles is an example. It's legit, and it's a good stepping stone to get to your career.
Charles, I'm curious, if you could think of things that happened when you were a kid or a teenager or a young adult that might have been different, that might have sent you in a different direction. Can you identify the things that
Yes, I can. My father passed away at a very, very young age, so my mother basically raised us. I grew up in the Black Bottom, should I say, moved to the project from there, and I was surrounded by a lot of different type of social. I wouldn't say they were against me, but things I had to overcome, a lot of obstacles. Got into a lot of trouble, just like the average young, as the lady stated earlier. A lot of, it's easy to get into trouble and it's hard to get out of.
Right.
And I was no different, no different. I wound up being actually stipulated to go to the military, to go to jail, go to the military, and that was a trip. In itself, it was, I fought 2 wars, and when I got out, I just had to get myself back together. I had to get used to the civilian world. And it led to, like I said, I can't blame anyone or anybody. I thank my father.
But I mean, you're taking responsibility for it now.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Something different and better for yourself.
It's a great opportunity. Earn and Learn is a great program. I think the one thing that needs to be expressed a little more, it needs to be put out there a little more. I think
more people need to have that opportunity.
And thank you for this right here. I think this right here will help a lot, because I watch the program myself. It's a pleasure meeting you.
You like to hear that, right?
Yes, it is.
Right. Okay. Thank you both.
Thank you
for being here, and good luck to you both.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stephen. Yep.
Thank you.
All right, finally today, we continue our special series of reports on people who are seizing opportunities and dealing with challenges as they chase after the American dream. Today, we meet a man who chose financial literacy as a means of breaking the cycle of poverty and violence that surrounded him as a child growing up in Detroit.
The American dream to me is an opportunity to be smart, be wise, and work hard to create the reality that you want. And if one door closes, you really have to open up another door or knock the door down. My American dream is, I think I'm living it in that I'm able to do a lot of what I want to do. I'm able to talk to and meet people and help people. Up there is the window where my dad and mom, I guess they were arguing. I lived in Detroit for 18 years. I grew up on the northwest side of Detroit in the Hubble-Finkel area, right near Cooley High School. I enjoyed some experiences as a child living in the city of Detroit, but at the same time, it was too harsh. Gunshots. I could tell the difference between a good gunshot and a bad gunshot, where you can hear about your cousin being killed and you're still expected to stay a child. and continue the next day. Then you have to live as a young person with the realities of death. It came so frequently until it became normal. And that created a hardening for me. And then I just personally kind of checked out of the neighborhood. You know, I was in the neighborhood, but I never allowed myself, and nor did my mom, allow me to become of the neighborhood. Although she was stuck in the environment that was more harsh, she steered us away from a lot of it. And she got us through her 3 children, single woman. She also taught us a strong level of accountability. The standards of the streets were never allowed to be brought into our house. Our standards were our standards. And we had love. I studied finance. Finance was always fun for me. The liberation from financial literacy, it was so empowering, and it's the only way that I know how to escape poverty, because poverty almost got me. You know, I have had cousins who were killed. What kind of norm is it to have a cousin who's killed? Breaking the cycle is what my passion is about. And my tool for breaking it is financial literacy. I mean, that's the best we can do, we're stuck. I have been a financial advisor for about 15 years. Finance is an area where I believe I was given a gift, but it was a gift discovered in high school. We were challenged to follow a stock. We're at Cooley High School, my closed high school, but my high school where I graduated from, 1990. Being challenged to follow a stock, we had to learn about a stock. So stock allowed me to see the power of finance, for one, and also I always felt like the stock market was a place where your color really wouldn't matter. So for me, it was a safe opportunity to advance without the noise of race. In my community, what I do is constantly, any opportunity to speak in front of groups, I offer the expertise and insight to different groups, different churches, different community groups.
Ask him the real questions.
Poverty is something that almost stole my life, and it's something that continuously prevents my community from thriving. And I hate poverty. Be uncomfortable in a proactive manner. That has always been my motivation for what I do every day. So when they say you should choose a job that you would do for free, that's my job. As a community, I think it's more critical that we do what we're doing tonight and actually start the conversation in a more honest way, beyond what is a stock. The African American community faces unique challenges as it relates to wealth. One is the fact that at death, the average African American household is worth approximately $5,000. In comparison, the average Caucasian household is worth approximately $110,000. That is a huge difference. And this statistic is from 2010 and 11. Many Americans have lost their homes, but it seemed to have been taking a larger toll on certain urban areas. Therefore, that average could actually go down further. And if it does go down further, the country will have to pick up the liability, and that family has a higher chance of reaching new lows within poverty. Individuals are quite vulnerable in America if they don't understand wealth. And that vulnerability tends to be heavily or most prevalent within African American community. So it's up to us to hold a core value to where we actually determine after Sunday's dinner what we talk about. Why not talk about the mortgage? Why not talk about what a stock is? Why not give the children a challenge that can feed them forever? And that is understanding. The difference between how I lived with my mom and how I live now is pretty dramatic. I love nature. So I now am able to live in an environment where nature is all around me. And I'm able to live in an environment where people value peace. Poverty was all around me, but with the strength from God, my mom, and individuals that I think God put in my life, I was able to escape it. For me, it was very difficult, but it's doable. In pursuing or realizing the American dream without understanding finance, I don't believe that you can. You're at the mercy of just a whim or a lottery ticket. So if you neglect the area of wealth and through understanding it first, you'll be more subjected to a more painful experience or not reaching the American dream. The dream should be more of the American goal that you pursue with vigor, with confidence, and with faith.
What dreams do you chase? Share your dream at redreamproject.org.
Great story. That's our program for today. Thanks for watching. You can get more information about our guests at AmericanBlackJournal.org. Plus, you can connect with us on Facebook and Twitter, and you can hear the program on WDET 1019 FM. We'll see you next time.
American Black Journal is funded by the W.K. Kellogg Foundation, a partner with communities where children come first.
At DTE Energy, we believe that we have a greater responsibility. We believe that being part of a community means being involved in the fabric of that community, investing time, effort, and resources in the communities we serve. DTE Energy Foundation is a proud sponsor of American Black Journal.